Chelsea managed to scrape by and with an own goal collect 3 points against Jose Mourinho's Benfica at Stamford Bridge. Welcome back to FFB, amigos. And yes, we're happy because we collected 3 points. But we're not that happy about the way we played and some things that went on. So we'll get into it. Some call me that I'm too negative. It's not about being negative. You can be happy and support your team. I love everybody in my Chelsea team and I support you. And I'm so happy we got the 3 points. But there's a lot of things that we have to talk about. And I think we have to talk about starting with Enzo Maresca. Now, this is a reaction video. During the week, when I make the more thought out videos, I can probably read the news and figure out what happened, why a player didn't play, if somebody was slightly injured, there was a little doubt or something was going on, and justify many of these decisions. This is a reaction after I just watched the match. I did the live. Everybody, please feel free to come join me when we watch these matches. We're going to do Champions League, Premier League, Carabao Cup, EFL Cup, and every Chelsea game or as many Chelsea games as I possibly can, and sometimes some other matches. So if there's good football going on here at FFB, we want to cover it. We really would, and obviously some hate-alongs. If there's a good match where some of our frenemies from the Premier League are playing, we might watch to get some schadenfreude for them not getting the good results. But I want to start out with Maresca. And let me bring it up for here with you guys because I think I'm getting better at this screen sharing thing with you guys, man. I'm going to tell you right now. And we're going to start with sharing the lineup. Boom. Boom. Let me scoot this over so you guys can see it fully in frame. And here we go. So, in goal, Sanchez, obviously. Now, here's where it starts getting controversial. Malo Gusto on the right instead of James. What I was saying when we started the match, we're like, why would you... Okay, different people have different takes on this. Some believe, including myself, that, unless you're super confident you're going to get this result, you put on your strongest team, you collect the result, and then you could put in a weaker time to see it out. I can see how maybe we're thinking it's the other way around for us, that it's hard to close out the game and maybe put the stronger team or the more experienced players later in the game. But today we started with Malo Gusto on the right. Could it have been speed, exhaustion, legs, James? I don't know, but we know he's not our best right back. I don't think he had a terrible match, but he started there. Chalobah, happy to see him again into the right center back position, where I think he enjoys more. And Bariashile Cucurella. Then interesting for me, to see that Esteban was not on the field. That Mark Yu doesn't get a nod. And we'll see later, he didn't even come on. That Joe Pedro being our best striker, not even forward, I wouldn't call him a striker, not in there either. Shocking. Caicedo, Fernandez, Pedro Neto, Tyreek George, and Garnacho. We're going to talk about some things here. I'm not going to give any names, but some people that I love and respect very much, and many Chelsea fans and other creators and pundits had very differing opinions to what I saw in the game, and we're going to get into that, particularly when it comes to Garnacho. A little bit less by the Chile, but also, and I think everybody agrees that Tyreek George has no business playing as a striker, as a number 9. But let's get into it. Why, Lewis? You're a miserable SOB. Why could you not be happy you got the 3 points? I'm happy. Again, I'm happy about the 3 points, but I think it's important to clarify a couple of things. And one of them, I want to pull up the stats for this because they're validated. So the match ended. Well, let's go through the match quickly. First of all, we win without a real goal. Of course, they count, but it's not a play that we created and that we finished. We had a good ball crossed over, which that was the things I think we needed to do a little bit more, into Garnacho, finds himself putting in a cross, and Richard Rios from Benfica just scores an amazing finish and puts it in the back of his own net. But there was not the danger that required that sort of reaction. He just didn't control it properly. He was running back. We know those are dangerous. I don't want to take credit away from Chelsea or Garnacho for that. They'll go in, but To me, it was nothing special. It was nothing really created. It was more a defensive mistake than anything, and very unfortunate for the center for Richard Rios. Actually, he ends up scoring on himself. But other than that, um, there were times of the game where we had the possession and we had a lot of possession and we were quote unquote in control of the game. And I had people in my chat, very knowledgeable and smart people, telling me, looks like we're in control of this one. And if by control you mean possession, yes, we seem to have control and possession. But in my opinion, we always seem vulnerable throughout the whole match. I just think that Benfica weren't sharp enough. But if you dig into because I look at the stats during the game, but not only during the game, but if you certainly look at the stats afterward, you're going to see that there are plenty of times where they had opportunity to score on us and they just didn't take them. And they had the clearer of chances, if you ask me again. Here, let me share some of these with you. Let me share some of these with you because we need to be. So I'm watching the other creators because every time that my live is over, I'm starving. I'm a chubby bunny, and this chubby bunny needs to eat something after he does a live and exhausted emotionally from watching Chelsea play. So this chubby bunny went to eat it, and when I do that, I put on the lives of the other creators. I go back a little bit and I see what they said about the game, and I thought we were going to agree on a lot of stuff, but no, you were talking really highly of Garnacho, and I'm going to call this out. He's the poorest rated player that we have. Him and because the poorest rated player that played, because I don't think Tyreek George was on the field, to be honest, and that's not his fault. It's not his position to play. I don't think he was even that particularly good on the press. But obviously, Garnacho was terrible. Now, before I even looked at the stats, I mean, he didn't score an own goal. Like in that sense, he wasn't terrible. But Garnacho really had nothing to offer. What is a winger supposed to do? Take on his man, get successful dribbles, put in dangerous passes and crosses. Let's look at this here because I thought I was a crazy person by having this opinion. Shots on target, 0. Successful dribbles, 0. He only attempted 1 proper and failed. Accurate crosses, 0. Non-penalty XG, 0.1. So the man wasn't going to create. He didn't create any chances. He barely had an unexpected goal by a shot that he took on. Barely no XG, no shots on target, no successful dribbles, no successful crosses. So I don't know how that's a good game for him. Like that's what our winger's there to do. So I'm not criticizing the man. I'm just saying, look, maybe it's because he hasn't had the minutes here, hasn't been playing enough to gel in with the team, but certainly way below par what we need from a winger. And then when we had, I'm curious what the rating is on Gittins, but when he came in, he did a little bit better in the sense that he took on a couple of players, but he wasn't incisive in the game as much as he should be. On the other hand, Pedro Neto fighting a lot, putting in crosses, taking on shots, a little bit more scary. Bonanote, I do want to highlight him because I think he's going under the radar. I think he's a lot better than people think he is, and he's just a straight up good footballer. And I think that matters a lot. He's a good footballer in that he can recover. He's good positionally. He allows for the flow of the game to happen. He knows where he's standing usually. He's tactically aware. It's good to have a player like that. I don't think he's going to be your Zidane or anything like that or your Cole Palmer, but there's many games when you need a player that is tactically aware, that knows how to play out, that is good in possession, that knows how to find the rest of the team. He's the kind of player that enables the rest of the team, and he did good. Tyreek George, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. That it's bad. And Mark, I apologize on behalf of everybody or anybody that is a football person. Now, if I would just be driven by my emotions when I see these things, like for example, that why is George playing as a 9? Why is Joao Pedro not on the field? Why is Mark not giving even a sniff when he's brought back from loan on the last minute to come supposedly save our ass? Why didn't Garnacho get some minutes and then he does? And why did we get, not even getting to why did we even buy Garnacho and all that, but just in like the play and who's plays on the field and when. I always defer to the coach and say, look, Lewis, you haven't been to the training. You didn't know that Mark, you got drunk and slapped Maresca's wife. I don't know. There has to be some behind the scenes stuff. I'm exaggerating. I really hope, Mark, you didn't do that. There has to be some behind the scenes stuff that goes on that we're sort of unaware all the time, being poor training, bad attitude, anything like that. Because just in terms of football and looking from the outside, a lot of these decisions don't make any sense. And beyond us getting the result today, you have to be concerned, not because you got the result, you sort of forget and you see something that you believe to be mismanaged or somebody playing below par. And I think that's the case with some of these players. And then other players that were just immense. Caicedo, as always, I don't think it's even worth mentioning, but he was immense. Everybody else had a decent match. Another thing that's misleading, I think Barichili got a 7.8 here in this rating. I think that's sort of BS. And accurate passes, 95 out of 99. That's really high. That's amazing. But these guys are playing side to side passes most of the time. What's dangerous is, what about those two passes that he messed up? If they are given straight to the opposition and allow for an attack, that's kind of concerning. And I did see that a couple of times. And that really worries me. This opposition wasn't able to capitalize on that. And sometimes that may be system too. Going back to system, again, Malo Gusto didn't have a terrible game, but I saw him having to do that invert roll, come in, run through the 10. So similar to what Cucurella does on the other side. I think that's hard for him. He gets caught on possession. But we weren't, Benfica was unable to exploit that, to be honest. And a couple of shots that were hit directly at Sanchez. I think these stats, he gets 8.0. That wasn't an ungodly performance by him at all. I'm not trying to criticize. He had a good game, but it's not an 8.0 performance. Is the best. According to these stats, he's the best player in the match. No, he wasn't. He did his job, and he had shots that come straight at him. Honestly, throughout the game, if one of those could have gone through, we would have been in trouble. We only scored an own goal again, guys. Remember, it was an own goal that got us these 3 points. It was an own goal, and we didn't really look that much dangerous. And let's look at the stats to not lie to ourselves here. But even possession, 56 to 44 in the end. It's not that big. XG, pretty much up there, close. 0.9 to 0.86. Total shots, 8 to 9. Shots on target, 3 and 3. Big chances, 1 and 1. Big chances missed, 1 and 1. So, I mean, the stats don't tell that's why I needed to watch the stats, because did I watch another game when I say Chelsea barely scraped through against an inferior team with some weird changes, not playing, not very efficient. And what's sad is that when the players that I believe should have started the game came in, they didn't bring the magic either. And that's a little concerning, because you would have thought, we're going to get them. Not only that, because Benfica did go after a little bit more. They pressed a little bit higher. They brought their block up. They started attacking a little bit more and sort of create some space. But we were like unable to transition. And that's really curious, because I think towards the end also, Enzo Fernandez is kind of tired towards the end, and he's called to transition because, yes, Caicedo can sort of do it, but you want that creative outlet. And he had like Estebao try to drop deep, pick it up and run. We couldn't really find Joe Pedro in the end either. So that's kind of a tricky one. Like, why did that not happen? It's going to require a little bit more analysis. Again, in summary, I'm not going to go crazy here. In summary, I'm happy with the 3 points. I'm not happy with the performance. And don't get mad at me, Chelsea fans. That's okay. Of course I'm not happy. I thought it was an absolutely mediocre performance. A lot of players could have done better. I question the choices, and I'm worried as to what may be happening behind the scenes when Mark Yu doesn't get a sniff in any of these games, when Joao Pedro doesn't start, all the things that I mentioned before. It sounds a little off to me. It's a little bit tricky. So I guess we'll find out during the week. These things have a tendency to come out. Maybe when I see the news and I do my midweek update, I'll be apologizing, because I'll understand that people had a knock. Because the ones that I knew had a knock, like Caicedo. But that good dude, unless his leg is broken, we're going to play. Hopefully we bring back Isugo. Lavia seems to be a little bit fit now. I don't know if fully fit, but he's not injured. He was on the bench. I would have liked to see that a little bit more of him. And he's good in transition and breaking a press. That would have been interesting. And another thing that I know is a lot of people criticize Enzo Fernandez as, he doesn't run. And some stats show, a lot of stats show in a lot of places that you check this out, that he is actually one of the people that run the most for the club. And the logical explanation of that to me is that he finds himself dropping into the deep lying 6 position, which Maresca prefers him to play higher up the field as one of the 10s, as a double 10, sometimes a triple 10, depends if you're counting what Cucurella is doing up there. He likes him up there, but when he doesn't get the ball, he likes dropping very deep to do it. So he's putting in that distance. The reason I think a lot of fans get the impression that he doesn't run is because he may be running 50 miles, but he's not fast, right? And he's unable to run back when we're caught in possession and there's a transition. He rarely makes that run back. Like he makes the run, but he doesn't catch his man. But that doesn't mean he's not putting in the miles. And I think that's something nowadays people care about and pay attention to a lot of these stats. And that's why you see Maresca probably preferring him so much, to the point, not only preferring because I think he believes he's the man that is going to deliver Maresca ball, the identity of the team. Because at times when there's better, I believe, or many of us believe, better options on the field, or to give this man a rest because we respect the fact that he's played so many minutes for us, or that we need somebody stronger in midfield in transition, or another DM in there, he keeps insisting in putting him there. When we need to cover the 10 spot, he puts him in the 10 spot rather than the two other options that we have. Easily being able to move on. We don't understand these things, but again, I respect them. But obviously, there's something going on with all those players, and there's something that he really values or believes in that maybe tactically Fernandez uh, does what he wants him to do. And maybe that's that ego driven thing. Maybe that's that arrogance that some of these comments come. And I don't think there's anything wrong. A lot of people that are in leadership positions, especially a coach, could be called arrogant because they're very insistent on having their way of playing, their style of leadership. They're trying to impose themselves. Sometimes they fail to inspire, and they feel they need to put the law down and maybe not, I don't want to say punish, even though it appears, certainly the players like Sterling or Dizazi have been punished at some point when they're needed, but not even called upon. And it's happened with other players in the past. That you're putting your stamp of authority there. And sometimes that is needed, and sometimes that's an overplayed hand. I don't know. And on the other side, you probably sometimes insist on some players that you trust do follow what you're trying to instill, and you're going to play them even if they're tired, even if there's other options in the field. And maybe that's a little bit what we're seeing. Reaction, long story short, we were lucky. We were lucky because I think it is luck when you have not controlled the play and had like a fully deserved win, and that's not the case today. We got an own goal. It's not like we had 1,000 other clear chances off the post and the keeper saved. No. Against lesser opposition, we did well. And given we're shook, so just to be shook, yo. The fact that we're coming from a place where we lost these both games is really important to get the win. So it doesn't matter how, but let's not blind ourselves, amigos. You can do this. You can blind ourselves if we got the 3 points. I don't care. But you got to keep one eye open. One eye open. Holding your pillow tight. Because you need to be aware of those things. And yeah, we'll trust that our coach and our team are going to correct them. So now excited about the upcoming matches. We have an amazing, impossible match to deal with against Liverpool, which get 2 losses on the trot. That's good for us. They might be suffering a little bit too, which is good or bad. I don't know. They certainly are the stronger team, and I think that may suit us. The stronger team, and they'll come up and hit us in attack. Might be exactly the kind of medicine that Chelsea need to be able to have space to run in transition and let our people do some of that damage. Again, just a special shout out to my favorite player, Caicedo, and a special shout out to Bonanotte for doing a good job today. I think you're unexpected underdog. Thank you. And a good shout out to Estevao William. I'm still, when he picks up the ball, it makes me still nervous, but he takes on 3-4 guys and he can really do it. He can really do it. And I think once we start settling and play a little bit in behind him, I think we're going to see some very exciting things. So I'm excited, and I think we can hurt Liverpool. And the last thing, I'm going to do it to you the same way it was done to me. Joe Pedro, red card. He doesn't play against Ajax. What? Why would that happen? Why? Look, it was a double yellow. It's kind of a little bit of bad luck, a little bit of, being a little bit dumb at the end of the match. He kept his foot up. To me, that is a yellow. I'll look at it a little bit more, but it's so upsetting. Maybe that's why I got a bad taste at the end of it too. It's like we didn't deliver. It wasn't good when Joe Pedro and Estevao come in and we start doing this. We don't get that much better, and then he gets red carded. So those of you who are doing a fully positive review of the YouTubers and creators, you're foolish. You're foolish. There's nothing wrong with with calling out things that are terrible and getting another red card and not, just winning with an own goal and suffering against. There's nothing good about that. There's nothing good for that for Chelsea fans and the Chelsea standard. And the good thing is that even though you guys try to see a positive light, some of you, the players know that. The players know that, and they'll keep working hard and they'll improve it. And I believe in them. So as always, my Chelsea players and my Chelsea fans, come on, you Blues.